Upgrade to 2.0 Total Control webinar. My name is Elvin Lopez. I am the technical writer for Universal Remote Control, as well as a member of the award-winning training team, and I have been tasked with giving you this glorious class. So we're going to be doing a couple things today. We're going to be covering a lot of material, and with that said, I want this to just kind of be known that questions will not be answered until the end of the class, simply because we do have a lot of stuff to cover, and you guys are going to have lots of questions towards the end. If you have a question, you can drop it in the questions dialog box, but just don't worry if we don't get onto it right away. We will get to it towards the end. I'm also joined today by JR, Jeff Rogers. He is another member of the training team, and he's going to be helping me out today with answering some of those questions. So JR, if you want to go ahead and say hello, feel free to do so.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us. We're going to have a lot of people on the webinar today, and that's why we're holding the questions to the end, so we can get everybody out on time. Thanks.
Yeah, we've essentially got a college classroom amount of students here for this lesson, so we're going to really try to save everything towards the end, and we'll get to everyone as we do so. So today's class is going to be broken into two sections. The first section is going to be the reasons why you would want to upgrade to 2.0. Now, there is a lot of buzz about Total Control 2.0. You guys have heard about this through CEDIA. If you guys went to CEDIA, I'm sure you got a first-hand look at it. For those of you who didn't go to CEDIA, you may or may not know exactly what Total Control 2.0 is and may want to upgrade, but you don't really know why you want to upgrade. And that's going to be one of the things that we answer today. Why do you want to upgrade to Total Control 2.0? Why should I care? Why should I want to go ahead and do this for my customers? And that's going to be something that we answer in the first part of this class. The second part of the class is going to be a lot quicker and much more straightforward, and that's going to be the actual update process. The update process takes just a few seconds, which is why we're incorporating the reasons why you want to upgrade and how to do it all in one class, just because it's going to make a lot more sense, and we're killing two birds with one stone, essentially. One more thing that I do want to issue out before we continue on in terms of questions. If your question is when a specific module is going to be released, we do not have the answer for that. That's something that only the URC engineers and the executives could really answer. JR and myself are just members of the training team. We don't even get that information until we get something thrown on our desk to write something or for JR to create an e-learning for something. So just kind of keep in mind that we will not have the answers to that. But if it's something related as to the upgrade procedure for Total Control 2.0 or some of the features of Total Control 2.0, we will have questions for that. Of course, feel free to ask any questions. Just know that if it's something about release dates, that's not going to be something we'll have an answer for you for. But with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. Total Control 2.0 is finally live. You guys have been hearing about this for quite a while. There's been a lot of buzz. So now let's go ahead and see how we upgrade, starting with why we want to upgrade. So there are four pillars or four reasons why you'd want to go ahead and upgrade your Total Control 1.0 system to a Total Control 2.0 system. The first one, and it's one of the most important ones, is the customizable user experience. Something that was really lacking in 1.0 was a customizable experience. You could go ahead and change out a few images with graphics that were in the software, and then you could go ahead and download an expansion pack and change out some stuff with the expansion pack. However, there was never a real sense of personalization or even a sense of customization, even using those original images. Granted, those images served the purpose and they worked relatively well. However, there weren't anything to really write home about. It wasn't anything flashy. It wasn't anything that caught your attention. And all of that is something that we've improved upon heavily coming into Total Control 2.0. Other things that you can expect from the upgrade is improved reliability, enhanced speed, and some additional automation options that were not available in Total Control 1.0. Now, we're going to go over each and every one of these reasons why individually, and we're going to go through all the caveats of each one of these pillars here, starting with the customizable user experience. So now, with Total Control 2.0, you can go ahead and customize backgrounds, scenes, which is something that's completely new to Total Control 2.0. Now, these aren't scenes that are Z-Wave scenes, although they can incorporate Z-Wave scenes into them. These are URC scenes. We're going to go into full details as to what URC scenes are later on in the class, but for now, just know that that is a part of the customizable user experience. You can go ahead and customize the new Rooms menu, device images, and main menu icons. Almost any graphic that's available in Total Control 2.0 can be customized or personalized. And just to kind of let you know what the difference between the two are, customization is using any graphic that is already built into the software. Already, we have the Total Control 2.0 software available for download for our direct dealers, and we also have an expansion pack for graphics that will go ahead and add even more graphics to the already extensive library that you get when you download the 2.0 software. With that in mind, to personalize a system, that's going above and beyond what you just downloaded. That's going to go to Google, go ahead and look for specific images, or going to use your phone at a customer's house to take pictures of rooms and using that as your room images, or taking pictures of specific devices and using that as your device images. Those are personalized images, and that's where you can go ahead and take the Total Control 2.0 system one step further. And the fact that this system allows you to do that is one major reason as to why you'd want to upgrade to a Total Control 2.0 system. Now, real quick, I'm going to go over just a few details of each and every one of these categories, just some stuff that I will want you guys to know. However, if you are interested in extensive details and much more direct instruction, I do suggest that you sign up for our class next week, which is going to go ahead and talk about customizing and personalizing graphics in Total Control 2.0. So for now, just kind of take this information down. If you want to write it down, feel free to do so. Otherwise, you can always sign up for that class, and we do offer e-learnings on anything that I am about to mention. So background images, the supported file types are JPEG and PNG with a minimum resolution requirement of 2048 by 2048 and a maximum resolution of 4096 by 4096. For rooms menus and the scenes menu, you can go ahead and customize or personalize graphics as long as they are the same file type of PNG or JPEG with the resolution of 1140. That is the maximum and that is the minimum. For device and category icons, you can go ahead and use same thing, JPEG or PNG, but the resolution for this is 675 by 450. Now here's something that's really cool. Images are imported at one size and will be scaled to all user interfaces. So what does that mean? I'm going to go ahead and explain this in a very simple way. In Total Control 1.0, if I wanted to change out the icon for my cable box, let's say I wanted to do that, and in my system I had a 1080, a 7000, a 2000, and an iPad and an iPhone mobile. I would have to go ahead and resize that image for every interface that I have in my system. Any interface that was going to use that custom image or that personalized image needed to have its own screen resolution, and I had to put that image in each folder there. With Total Control 2.0, that is completely different. All you need is one image that's 675 by 450, and the software does all the work for you, minimizing the programming time that you're going to take to customize or personalize the system. That's something that's really cool, and that's a really good reason why you'd want to upgrade to Total Control 2.0. Here's a couple other reasons why. In terms of layouts, we do have multiple layouts available, starting with the ribbon view. The ribbon view is probably what you've seen in all the marketing, what you've probably seen if you've gone to Cydia or if you've seen any type of material that discusses Total Control 2.0. This is the traditional view. Now, this view looks somewhat like the old style GT interface with some major differences. And not only are they major visual differences, it's also in terms of functionality. This works a lot faster. This works a lot snappier. The sliding wheel is gone. Now it works just like an iPhone, an iPad, or an Android phone or Android tablet. These are all on pages. There's 6 buttons to a page. Each one of these buttons contains sub-menu icons by default. So if you select entertainment, it will go ahead and open up the entertainment menu. You no longer need to slide until you have entertainment located on the center selecting bar as it was in the GT interface. Now you can go ahead and select music, games, entertainment, lights, thermostats, or security right there from the screen. You don't need to swipe for anything. You can just go ahead and select it. If you want to change the page 2, you just swipe to the left and you'll be able to see your page 2. So that's something that's really cool. It makes the functionality of the interface a lot easier, a lot sleeker, and makes it much more easier to use. The scenes menu is something that you can also see from here. If you look at the page indicator on the bottom, you'll always see this little square icon. That square icon represents your scenes menu. Now, I know right now we may not know what the scenes menu is, but we are going to get to that. For now, just know that that is what that means. That little square, 4 square thing looking on the bottom here, that is your scenes menu indicator. Your rooms menu is still located at the top on your touchscreen interfaces. On your 1080, you do know that there is a physical rooms button that will go ahead and access your rooms menu. On touchscreen interfaces, the Now Playing will constantly be at the top right-hand corner. Your volume control will always be at the top bottom on your touchscreen interfaces, as well as your shortcuts on the center right, and then your main and power buttons located at the bottom right. Your status bar will also always be present, including the time of day. That's something that's really cool. That's something that was lacking in Total Control 1.0, especially on the handheld interfaces. So I really like this feature. I'm a Verizon customer, and my Verizon cable box does not actually have the time on the actual cable box. So that makes things a little annoying, because if I don't have my phone nearby, I'm not going to know what time it is, and I'm going to have to go fishing for my phone. Now I can just pick up my 820, look at it real quick, see what time it is, and bam, there I go. I'm ready to do whatever it is that I'm ready to do next. Now, I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to see this, but this is the grid view. This is another additional view mode that you have already in the Total Control 2.0 software. Now, this is going to go ahead and look a lot like an iPhone or an Android device. And that's something that's really cool. You can see that it takes up almost the entire page. And if you want to take this a little bit further, there is an accelerator option that allows you to accelerate all of your devices and activity onto the main menu, as opposed to having them on sub-menus. I do think that that really makes the grid view stand out a lot more, because it fills up the entire screen. And with that in mind, though, there is one little drawback to this. At least this is my opinion. This is not necessarily a real drawback. This is just my own personal feelings toward the grid view, is that it does take away from the wallpaper in the back. Now, if you have a really cool customized or personalized wallpaper that you want to stand out, if your interface is in the grid view, there is a small chance that you might not be able to see it. So if you take a look between the two view modes, you can see that in the ribbon view, you get to see the wallpaper completely, but in the grid view, you don't really get a chance to see it. However, you do have a much nicer and a much sleeker looking main menu with all those items located at the center of the page. So again, this is all in terms of preference. None of this is good or bad, or it's all technically good, because it gives you the option to do either or. You can have a mix and match number of ribbon view interfaces and grid view interfaces. It's all left up to the installer and the customer as to what they want to do to go ahead and personalize this customer's home. This other view mode is going to be available shortly. It's called the XL view. The XL view is a combination of the ribbon and grid view, and it looks very, very nice. It provides you with 6 items per page, just like the ribbon view. However, just like the grid view, it takes up most of the space and gives you this beautiful looking interface with large button icons. This is something that's really cool for keypads that are going to be in specific rooms, or for customers that are hard of seeing. They can go ahead and use a device like this and easily be able to see what's going on without having to squint or strain their eyes. Now, this is not released publicly yet. It will be released soon. Again, we don't have any release dates on any of this stuff. All we know is what the engineers tell us, and the only thing we keep getting told is soon. So hopefully this will come in sometime before the end of the year. However, there are no definites, there are no concrete dates, and I just want to go ahead and make sure that you guys understand that. This is the scene view, and we will be talking about scenes in much more detail, but I just want you to know what it looks like. All of these graphics are the resolution of 1140 by 1140. There are lots of included graphics for scenes built into the software already, although you can go ahead and use personalized ones that you want. You can actually point the software, the Total Control 2.0 software, the Accelerator 2.0 software, to any folder in your computer, and in that folder, as long as you have a JPEG or a PNG file at a resolution of 1140 by 1140, you can go ahead and use that image for your scenes menu. We're going to talk about background images right now. So background images is actually one of my favorite parts of the Total Control 2.0 system. Points to anybody who can go ahead and write in the questions box what game that is right there. But background images is really cool. You can use either JPEG or PNG, just like all the other graphics that you can go ahead and customize. The minimum resolution requirement is 2048 by 2048, and the maximum is 4096 by 4096. So that is pretty high res. And this is going to go ahead and auto scale for all of your devices. So the image there is a personalized image that I found and created. Now, if we look at this next image here, this here is a customized image that is found within the software. And yes, thank you, Barry, for pointing out that is definitely BioShock. So all of your background images will be cropped for smaller interfaces, and there is something that I do want to point out for that. For cropping your background images for smaller interfaces, if you know that your system is going to be using touchscreen interfaces as well as remote controls that are handheld, such as the 820 or the 1080, you will want to go ahead and crop your images to a square. Doing so will make sure that you have the best possible resolution whenever the actual system crops your images. So if you had a wide image, when it gets cropped for the 1080, if you don't have that square cropping, it's going to look a little strange. And it's not because there's something wrong with the software. It's just that the software does need to auto scale that for the smaller resolution. It's cool in the sense that it takes away your responsibility from having to just scale down the image yourself. The software does it for you. But if you go ahead and take that little step further and make sure your images are cropped to square, they will look a lot better. Believe me, I had to learn that the hard way. The other thing that happens whenever you've got background images, if we select a category here, so let's say we selected entertainment, what will happen is the background will get blurred and the actual sub menu will pop out more. Now, I do have a graphic of that later on in the class, and I will point that out once we get there. So once we get there, you'll get a chance to see that. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about scenes. What is a scene? That's probably the question you have for me right now, or at least something that you're thinking about. A scene is essentially any macro in the system that you need either quick access to or that you don't really need to jump into a menu for. Now, when I first heard about scenes in Total Control 2.0, I didn't think that there was going to be much of a use for it, and that was until I started testing the system. What I used my scenes for was for my Z-Wave lamp, for my lighting devices, and for a few miscellaneous activities that I wanted that I didn't want to go diving into interfaces for. Now, the cool thing about scenes is that they're room-based, and you can have up to 100 scenes per room. Now, that's something that's really cool. Now, the only thing you do need to know is that each room will have its own unique set of themes that you have to program. By default, there will be no scenes in any room. You do have to build these manually, and you can go ahead and customize them or personalize them as you see fit. You do have the ability to copy and paste scenes from one room into another room, so that is something that you will also have the ability to do. But the other cool thing is that they have the potential to have two different image states or text states depending on what you're doing. Personally, I've used this for my lights, so I've done this for my lamp. I have one state that says lamp on and a second state that says lamp off. When I select the lamp on, it turns on my Z-Wave lamp, and then once I'm ready to turn it off, I will go ahead and hit the same button, which now reads lamp off, and it'll go ahead and switch back to its original state. So that's something that's really cool. You can go ahead and have scenes that have button states, and that's going to be something that I think customers really, really like. And each button state can have its own graphics, so that's even better. So for my lamp, when I want to turn it on, it shows me a picture of a lamp that's turned off. And then when I hit it, it shows that it's turned on. You can go ahead and do this whichever way you want. You can have the graphic change as the state changes. So having that potential is something that's really cool. I've also done this with a favorite channel of mine. So what I did was I created a button for SNY, which is the channel that the Mets play on. I am a Mets fan, even though they are quite terrible. What this scene did for me was I actually had the Mets logo sized down to 1140 by 1140. Whenever I selected that scene, what would happen is a room power macro would go ahead and turn on my cable box, change all my inputs, and get the cable device essentially on and ready. And then on top of that, I would go ahead and have an additional command in there that would go ahead and play the channel for SNY. So that's just a few ideas. So if you take a look at the scenes that are here, we have dinner, relax, movies, party time, video games, karaoke, all off, morning coffee, action, and cleaning. All of these can have something very specific. They can even have something just as simple as a different surround sound mode. So for example, if we select the action scene right here, that can just go ahead and change the surround sound system in the home theater to an action movie state. Or you can go ahead and do something for relax where it dims down the lights, maybe play some music, something like that. You can really go ahead and do almost anything with these scenes. And the fact that all you have to do is swipe to the right and have access to them makes them so easy and convenient to use. And this is especially cool for touchscreen interfaces such as the TKP 7600. On something like that, this could actually be set as the home page if it's in a room where it's just that. So like if you have a 7600 in a hallway and you just want to have maybe some lights on there for quick access, you can just put that all on the scenes menu and have the main button always return to the scenes menu. Now, of course, you will still have access to the main menu by swiping to the left, but this is just the flexibility that you have with the system. You also have the capability of freeze jumping, and that's something where you can go ahead and have a 7600 launch a scene but not jump into that device's menu, but then you just go ahead and pick up a handheld interface and you'll be in the device menu ready to control. Of course, you will always have the ability to touch the now playing option on that 7600, but you could go ahead and use that freeze jump option on almost any scene that requires a jump to a device page. So that's really all that I've got for scenes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and talk about room images. And you have an example of the rooms menu right there. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that, folks. Just drinking a little H2O. Been talking a lot, so dries the throat a little bit. The new rooms menu looks amazing in my opinion. I think it looks way better than the old-fashioned Total Control 1.0 rooms menu, and there's a lot of functionality available in this rooms menu. The first thing I want to talk about is the room images. The room images are fully customizable and personalizable, even though I don't think that's a word. But you can go ahead and personalize these room images. An actual cool idea that I heard one of the trainers mention is you can go ahead, go to a job site, take pictures of every room in the house that your customer wants to program, and then you can go ahead and take those images and put them into the rooms menu. So you can actually have a physical picture of your customer's master bedroom, of their home theater, of their game room, et cetera, and have that all in the rooms menu. That's going to really give your customer that personalized feel of, hey, this is my system. This isn't URC system. This is my system. And that's something that I think people are going to really, really enjoy. Outside of that fact, you've got a lot of functionality going on right here before even jumping into any of these rooms. If you hit this button right here located to the far right of the room image, that's going to go ahead and turn off all the devices in that room. You can go ahead and customize this lights off action command. This action command can turn off one light in that room, all the lights in that room. You can even set it to do a couple of different things because you can essentially program a macro onto that button. And actually, JR made this joke last class that was actually pretty good. You can have it to either, the thing is, this lights icon is always going to look like a light bulb. So you can have it either turn off all the lights in that room, or you can make it have that room have a great idea. So either way, you can't go wrong. Now, using it as the lights off action command is what it was designed to do. That's what it's meant for, is to turn off lights in a specific room. However, all it does is it takes a macro. You can use a universal macro. You could use almost any type of macro. I do believe you can't use room power macros. That's one of the limitations to it. But you can actually see that limitation in the software. The software has been redesigned to be much more intuitive. It'll go ahead and tell you certain things that you can't do immediately in the software. The software even tells you the screen resolutions that you need for all those images. So even if you didn't write down what I said, it's still going to be in the software anyway. So that is actually something that's really helpful. The volume control right here will allow you to adjust the volume, increase, decrease, or mute, and you can do all of that without ever entering into that room. The now playing bar, which is located at the bottom of the room image, if you select that now playing bar, it'll go ahead and directly take your interface into that device's menu. So if I went to hit now playing on the master bedroom, it would take me to whatever device was playing Pandora. If I did so on the home theater, it will take me to the Roku two-way device menu pages. And if I did it in the game room, it would take me to the Xbox device menu pages. So that's all really cool. And again, I never even touched the actual room. I never went into that room's main menu. All I did was touch that now playing bar that's located on the bottom of the room image, and it took me directly into those devices menu pages. The other thing that's here is room linking. That's the little chain that you see at the bottom. You can go ahead and link DMS zones together for volume control. Now keep in mind, this is only for volume. You can't do any visual stuff. I did have a question about that earlier. DMS linking doesn't do anything visually. It's all about the audio. You can control all of the link zones through one volume menu. You're able to control all of their volumes simultaneously, or you can control their volume individually. So that's something that's really cool. If you guys have used DMS linking in Total Control 1.0, it functions exactly the same. It's just more reliable, and it works a lot faster now with Total Control 2.0, as the software actually uses less memory on all of the compatible devices, despite giving a lot more features. We've done a lot of work, or our engineers have done a lot of work in making sure that Total Control is reliable. And of course, last but not least about the rooms menu, if you select a room image, you guessed it, it'll take you into that room's main menu, and you can go ahead and control that room even if you're not in that room. So now we're going to go ahead and talk real quickly about device images. And again, device images, the resolution for them is 675 by 450. Devices may be represented by custom images, as I've said multiple times. The easiest way to do so is to use the URC library, using the custom images that our graphics team has designed for you guys to use. Of course, you can always personalize images or add custom images, but you have to add them to the proper folder. Now, this is very easy to do. I don't want you to think that this is difficult. If you guys have done this in Total Control 1.0, you'll know that it was a bit of a pain. You had to go to every folder in your C drive. You would have to navigate to your C drive, go to Program Files x86, locate Universal Remote Control, and then you'd have to go into Clients, which has the folders for every URC interface, and you would have to add that image to every URC interface. That was time consuming and it was a little tedious, to be honest. But with Total Control 2.0, that is no longer the case. You will still need to go into the C drive, you will still need to find universal remote control, and you will still go into clients, but you only need to add your custom or your personalized image into one folder, and that's the Android folder. You put your custom graphic in there, and it'll show up in the software as if it was a part of the software to begin with. That's something that's really cool, and that is something that we cover in next week's class, which is about customization and personalization of graphics in the Total Control 2.0 system. And at the end of the class, I'm also going to show you some stuff in the URC dealer portal that are self-paced classes. If you don't know what a self-paced class is, it's just an e-learning. E-learnings that you can take at your own pace, that you can do on your own time. JR works very hard on making those, and he's made some very detailed ones that I think you guys will get a lot of good information out of. And there is one in particular for graphics that covers everything that I've talked about graphically and more. So if you guys do want to find out more information about that and you can't wait for next class, just go ahead and take that. But I do suggest you still sign up for that webinar, as we're going to cover all the material that's in that e-learning, but we're going to do it live. So this right here, I did say I would call back once we get to this graphic here. This is what it looks like when you open up a sub menu. In this instance here, the entertainment sub menu was opened up, and you can go ahead and see that Blu-ray, DirecTV, Apple TV, Xbox One are the devices that are located in that sub menu. You can see that it puts a very light blur on the entire background. You can still see the background, but it's no longer the focus. The focus is the sub menu that opens up right at the center of the display. And that's something that I think is really cool. It keeps the customer focused in on what they're doing, and then from there they can go ahead and access any of those device menus. So main menu icons, they're fully customizable image and color scheme. JR did send me a PowerPoint screen of how you could do that. Unfortunately, that was actually a part of the handouts for the last webinar class, and when we closed that out, that also got closed out. But essentially what you do is you tell the software the actual digits that is for that color code, and once the software reads that, it'll be able to incorporate that into its image and color scheme. Now this is for your main menu icon, so this is essentially what you're looking at, like right here. In his e-learning, he does cover this information, I believe, so you can go ahead and refer to that and see the information that is there. It's not very difficult to do. The default coloring is not bad either. I do actually enjoy that. And the other thing that you can do with your main menu icons is you can go ahead and change out these sub-menu thumbnails. That is this right here. If you don't want this to appear, you can go ahead and tell the software to hide that, and it won't display. I personally like the sub-menu thumbnails. It's, again, a thing about preference, and 2.0 software gives you the flexibility to have a preference, so that's something that's really cool.
Hey, Elvin, I just put the color information in the handouts so people can just click on that and take a look at that slide. It gives them the information. It's really easy. You just take the hex from that color and you put that in the file name of the icon, and it will adjust the color for you.
Perfect. Thank you, JR.
Oh, and thumbnails, great on the touch screen. On my 1080, I don't use them, so I agree with you. It's nice that they're customizable.
Awesome. Perfect. See, I actually don't mind them even on the 1080. My dad uses the 1080, and I keep them on there. But again, it's all preference, and 2.0 gives you the ability to have a preference. Preference was not necessarily something that was shining in 1.0, but in Total Control 2.0, we've made having options a thing, and having options is great. Two-way modules have all been redesigned for Total Control 2.0. Not only have they been redesigned graphically, but they've been redesigned in terms of stability, which is more important than the actual graphic update. All of our two-way modules are more responsive, they open quicker, and they're very, very stable. And that's due to something called TCL forks. TCL is the programming language that Total Control is essentially written on. And we're going to talk more about that when we get to the enhanced stability section of the presentation. But for now, just kind of keep that in mind, keep that in the back pocket. But all of our two-way modules have been redesigned to look like Total Control 2.0. You can go ahead and see that in all of the graphics that are going to be displaying on the screen. And this is actually the new favorite channels module. Now, favorite channels was a part of Total Control 1.0. However, we just made it look a lot nicer now. It's got this black overlay on the back, which really makes those favorite channel icons stand out a lot more. The functionality is still exactly the same as in Total Control 1.0. You select a button, it's going to tell you what's now playing. And if you want to go ahead and watch it, you just go ahead and select watch now. So that's something that's pretty cool. You know, it's still the same functionality. It just looks a lot better. Now, the ease of customization. This is something we've been talking about the entire class. The difference between customization and personalization. Customization is the usage of URC-provided images to create an intuitive user experience, whereas personalization is the use of actual photos of rooms, devices, etc. to create a truly unique user experience. One thing that I personally really like to do with Total Control 2.0 is kind of use my favorite video games and use those as themes for just fooling around over here at HQ for making dummy systems that I'm either going to use for testing or that I may just implement in my own home at some point later on when I feel like it. And just the fact that you can go ahead and do that is something that's really cool on a home automation system. You can really personalize a home automation system and make it unique. That's something that Total Control hasn't really had the capability of doing before, and now it does. Now, granted, these themes that I'm talking about are just things that I'm doing to the wallpaper, to the device images, you know, the stuff that I've already mentioned. They aren't actual themes that I've downloaded from a server or anything like that. They're stuff that I've actually created and I've taken the time to do. And this is all stuff that you guys can go ahead and do. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk about the new Accelerator UI. You can see that this is, of course, required for Total Control 2.0. You get a new desktop icon, a new splash screen, a new color shade, new step icons. Everything is pretty much fresh and new. And you do need the Total Control 2.0 software for Total Control 2.0. I think that might be obvious, but I just want to make sure you guys do know that. Accelerator 2.0 exists separate from the regular Accelerator software. The old URC Accelerator software is only for Total Control 1.0. Keep in mind, we will still support Total Control 1.0. So this does not mean you can go to your computer and uninstall Total Control 1.0. You have to keep in mind a couple things. Accelerator 2.0 or Total Control 2.0 is not a mandatory update. You do not have to do this. This is something if your customer wants to go ahead and do. The other thing, in terms of you guys, this is a free update. However, you do still need to go on site in order to perform this update, which means you guys can go ahead and create packages for service calls that will go ahead and upgrade a customer system to Total Control 2.0. Now, there are a couple other things that we're going to talk about in terms of the upgrade procedure and upgrade details and requirements, but we're going to get to that very shortly. I'm just kind of letting you guys know a little bit of general information. Now we're going to go ahead and discuss the second pillar, or the second reason why you would want to upgrade to Total Control 2.0, and that is improved reliability. Now we're going to talk about the TCL stuff. So when we were testing Total Control 2.0, the #1 priority was reliability. That is something that was a bit of a failure point for Total Control 1.0. But the reason it was a failure point for Total Control 1.0 is the way that it was written, the way that the software was written. Essentially, all of our TCL modules lived in one place. And if one TCL module crashed, it would go ahead and create a havoc for all the other TCL modules, and they would all crash as well. So let's go ahead and talk about TCL modules. Those are two-way modules. That's what I'm referring to. Two-way modules are essentially things that URC writes for third-party companies for integration. They provide feedback to the device as well as feedback from the device. Now, we don't own these third-party devices. We only own the two-way module that's communicating to it. So whenever those third-party companies make a software or a firmware update to that device that changes the way that it is coded, whenever our two-way module is trying to reach out to it, it's not going to know what it's coded in. The reason that we know what it's coded in the first place is because we receive what's called an API from that third-party company. If that third-party company does not reach out to us to let us know that they are pushing out a firmware update, we cannot fix our modules before they release their firmware update. Henceforth, why certain two-way modules will go ahead and crash. In 2.0, that caused a huge issue because it would go ahead and crash all the two-way modules. And with that in mind, it meant that our engineers couldn't pinpoint which one was wrong, and it would take longer to go ahead and fix. With TCL Forks, each two-way module lives on its own house. Each two-way module has its own area in the coding. So that means if a module fails, only that one specific module will fail, which pretty much eliminates the time that it takes to see which module was the issue, and it makes fixing it a lot faster. And it also means that if one module breaks, that doesn't mean that any of your other modules are going to break as a result, which preserves system integrity. The fact that it's easier to identify what the problem is and the fact that we can resolve the issue a lot faster also improves the system integrity. So that's just some things that I did want to let you guys know about the actual TCL forks and the work that has been done in the TCL programming. Total Control 2.0 works a lot faster because it uses less memory on our physical devices. So that means that all of our physical devices are able to use the software and run a lot faster. That's just some engineering magic that our engineers did, and we are grateful to them for it. And the software works really well. If you guys haven't had a chance to get your hands on it, I highly suggest you guys do. Speak to your sales rep to get the Total Control 2.0 software so you can go ahead and at least give it a test run. I guarantee after you try it out once, you're going to want to use it. The other thing that's going to be releasing somewhat soon is the MCS tool. If you guys have ever had a major issue in Total Control 1.0, you've most likely had tech support log into your base station or into your system using the MCS tool. It's a form of internal monitoring and diagnostic software. It allows tech support to view your system, your network, and activity. Now, this MCS tool is going to be released to dealers at some point. I don't know when, but it is going to eventually be a tool that you guys can use for troubleshooting, and it can actually prevent you from having to go on site in certain situations. But again, I don't have a steady release date for this. I just know that this is going to come, and I'm just letting you know the information that was provided to me. The other thing we have is the enhanced speed. I unfortunately do not have any slides for this because I can't show you enhanced speed. The only way you can experience the enhanced speed is by actually seeing it in action. And I unfortunately do not have that. I can't show you that over a webinar. That's something that you guys will have to go ahead and see when you go on site and program a system, or if you program a demo system for your businesses or whatever the case may be. I do suggest that you guys do that because that is the only way you're going to really be able to see what Total Control 2.0 is really possible of. All you can really do from this class is find out why you want to do it, but then you just got to do it.
Hey, Elvin.
The next thing we're gonna. Yes, sir.
I can speak to that. One thing to note is, due to the new software, the amount of processing power required is so much less. And I just heard about a job that was done recently in a 27,000 square foot home where we're using 14 tabletop controllers. It was a massive system. And we looked at the CPU and it was hovering around 25% and never went beyond 30%. So I think the speed is really based on the amount of processing power that's no longer needed because of the efficiency in 2.0.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I just learned about that yesterday.
Thank you for adding that in, JR. I did see we have one little minor question that I just want to go ahead and address real quickly. If the third-party manufacturer makes a change to their API or whatever the case may be, we don't really know how long it's going to take for our engineers to modify it, simply because we haven't come across that in Total Control 2.0 yet. So we don't know that just yet. Hopefully we won't know that for a while if everything can stay working as it does. But in terms of 2.0, we haven't had a situation where a module has crashed and we've needed to fix it. So Paul, to answer your question, I don't have an answer for that because we just haven't experienced it yet. But talking about additional automation options here, we do have more advanced automation options in terms of your if-else statements. Now they can go ahead and check multiple parameters. You can go ahead and have if-else and, or if-else or. Now all of this stuff will be covered in our Total Control webinar, which is programming new features. This is going to be a part of that class, so I won't be going into any extensive detail on this or any of the programming that incorporates any of this, simply because that is not what today's class is about. However, there are e-learnings where you can go ahead and learn how to do all of this right now if you want to, and I'm going to show you where you can locate all of that at the end of the class. Now, all of this is located on the new dealer portal. The URC University has been hit by a giant meteor and it is extinct. The URC control room is next. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna happen in the next few weeks, but do note that eventually everyone will be migrated from the URC control room into the new dealer portal. Keep in mind though that you do need to register as a new user onto the dealer portal. Even URC employees had to do so. So everyone has to go ahead and go through that process. Additional automation features that are featured in 2.0 that are exclusive to 2.0 is device power state, device conditions, which allows the macro to check specific conditions on two-way modules. Although this feature is coming soon, it's not active yet, but it's going to be active shortly. Just know that eventually the Total Control 2.0 system will have the capability of doing this. Now, the rest of these features are already available. Time and date, so you can go ahead and schedule specific automation macros that will go ahead and happen on specific time, at a specific time of day, at a specific date, at a specific month, on a specific year. You can really get a little crazy with how you want to go ahead and do that. And again, we will cover all of this information in our new features webinar. And of course, you can go ahead and do any of the stuff that was already in 1.0, such as true, false, press time, variable, sensors, and all the such. All of these other 1.0 features are also included into Total Control 2.0, such as auto macro creation, otherwise it wouldn't be called accelerator, favorite channels, which we already took a look at, shortcuts, which you can go ahead and take a look at the right-hand image, offsite programming, offsite control, voice control via Alexa or Google Home, intercom on intercom-enabled devices such as the 7600, the 7100, and the soon 5600, as well as the iOS launch bar, which you can go ahead and also see on the image at the right. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about some things that we need to know in terms of upgrading. As we've said before, you need the Accelerator 2.0 in order to upgrade. Once you've downloaded onto a device that used to have 1.0, it will permanently have 2.0. Once you upgrade, there is no going back. Here are some details and requirements. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and read this directly off the screen because all of this is very, very important. All Total Control 2.0 upgrades are permanent. The system cannot be reverted back to 1.0 after downloading. System upgrades must be performed on site. Not all devices are fully compatible with Total Control 2.0. We're going to show you a little bit more about that later on. All two-way modules have been updated. New modules must be downloaded and imported into the new software. All graphics, including category menus, device icons, and any custom graphics, are updated to the new Total Control 2.0 format. Prior formats are deleted and replaced with new default graphics. What does this mean? This means that if you did have any custom drivers before that had an image already assigned to them, they will be assigned a new default image from the software. All of your old drivers are compatible with 2.0, and once you save the file, they will be changed to a .cd2 file, which is the driver format that is used in Total Control 2.0. So, which is also mentioned in the next bullet point here. Original files for drivers are .csd. So if, let's say, you have a old matrix switcher driver file that you don't want to recreate, no worries, you don't have to recreate it. The 2.0 software is able to read .csd, which is the file format that was used for older drivers. The only thing that won't be brought in is any custom device images that were assigned to that driver. Although it will be assigned a new default image, you can always change that in the 2.0 software at any point in time. So just something for you guys to know. If you upgrade to the system of 2.0, you won't have to redo any drivers. So that's something that is extremely cool. So here is the full list of compatible devices, and we're going to go over this individually. So the following devices are compatible with Total Control 2.0. We're going to talk about remotes and keypads first. The fully compatible devices for remotes and keypads, the 1080, the 820, the 780. Although the 780 is just a text-based remote, so do not expect to see any graphics on that still. The 7100, the 7600, the 5500, the TKP 100, and the URC Mobile 2.0 software, which is just an application. Keep in mind, if you are looking for the URC Mobile 2.0 for iPad, it's still under development. There's no release date set. However, you can still use the iPhone one on iPads. It does support high-resolution graphics, so it's going to function more or less the same. Partially compatible devices for remotes and keypads are the TRC 1280, the 2000, and the 7000. Some devices offer a limited compatibility. Those devices do not receive the graphical update, however, still benefit from the improved speed and reliability. The interface that is not compatible with Total Control 2.0 is the old URC mobile app. That is only compatible with Total Control 1.0, and any other CC Gen 2 interface. Those are not compatible with Total Control 2.0. No CC Gen 2 products are compatible with Total Control 2.0. Any CC Gen interfaces that your customers may have will need to be upgraded. The other thing that is not compatible is the MRX10, the regular MRX10. The only MRX10 that is compatible is the 10N. These are the listings of all the compatible base stations. You've got the 10N, the MRX8, the MRX2, the 4IR, the 4SCN2, the 4SCN1, the UZ1, the ZW, whether it's ZW2 or ZW1, the ZR2, the MFS8, and the MFS PoE8. Now, the MRX2 is considered partially compatible because the on-screen interface does not get the graphical update of 2.0. However, it still benefits from the increased speed and increased reliability. The MRX1 is on this partially compatible list because it is discontinued. It will still give you the full functionality of the MRX2. Just know that since it is a discontinued product, it is considered partially compatible. In order to even view it in the software, you will need to enable legacy products. Other devices that fall under the same stipulation as that MRX1 is the GE1, the ZR1, and the ZR1N. They're all considered partially compatible because they are discontinued. They will still work with the software because they're just base stations, but just know that those are discontinued older products. Now, incompatible is going to be anything that's CC Gen 2 related. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's just not compatible with Total Control 2.0. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look at the upgrade process. So that's all we have in terms of the physical presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this file in Total Control 1.0. Now, after we do all of this process is really quick. So after we do this, I'm going to show you some stuff in the dealer portal. And then from that point, we're going to go ahead and answer any unanswered questions. So you can go ahead and see that this is a Total Control 1.0 file. I'm going to go ahead and do a save as. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to leave it like this because I want to show you something very specific. But I'm going to create two files here. We're going to go ahead and put this on the desktop, and we're just going to call this example 1. And now I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to do, where is this? Can I do this from here? Give me 1 second. I'm going to convert this file to an MRX8, and you'll understand why that's important soon. For now, just kind of watch me do this, and then we will go ahead and explain everything as we go on. And I'm going to go ahead and call this one example 2. So now we've got our Total Control 1.0 file. Now we're going to convert it to 2.0. I'm going to open up Accelerator 2.0. If there's an update, I'm going to perform the update, but I've already done that. I'm going to select File, and I'm going to select Open. Now I'm going to go ahead and navigate to where I can find those files that I created. Now notice I don't see them on my desktop, even though I placed them on here. I have to go to Files of Type located on the bottom, and I want to select TC1 System Files. Now when I do that, I'll be able to see the 2 example files that I created. I'm going to select example 1 first, and I'm going to select this one for a very particular reason. You'll see that as soon as this file opens up. The MRX10 that I used in that original file was not a 10N. It was a regular MRX10. Because of that, when you open up that file, you're going to get hit with an alert that says the MRX10 primary base station version in this file is too old to be assigned as a primary controller in Total Control 2.0. Please use a different base station as the primary or replace it with a newer version. Contact technical support for additional information. Now, there is a program for upgrading your 10s to 10Ns. Just speak to your sales rep about that. They'll be able to help you out with that. Now, you'll still be able to open it up, but you won't be able to download and you won't be able to save the file. Now, of course, you can go ahead and convert the file from here. Just hit Convert File and convert it to a compatible base station. And then you can go ahead and save it. And once you save it, that's going to go ahead and turn it into a Total Control 2.0 file. So I'm going to select File, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and select Save, and I'm going to rename it. Well, I'm actually not going to rename it. I'm calling it the same thing. But I'm going to save it as a Total Control 2.0 file, which is a .tc2, not a .ccs. And I'm just going to select Save, and that's it. I've converted my file. I go to Download, and that's all I have to do. Now, let's say I had a two-way module that was in the 1.0 format. Once I got to this step and once I selected download, what would happen is I would see an error message telling me, hey, this module is incompatible. Hey, this module is incompatible. It will list for you every incompatible module. And then from there, what you're going to do is you're going to have to delete that module from the project tree and download and import the newer modules. Right now, modules are available on the URC control room while the control room is still active, but eventually all of that information is going to be ported into the dealer portal. So I will show you where to locate all of that very shortly, but that's the process of upgrading your system file. Changing out two-way modules, that's just normal programming. All you have to do is just delete it from here, import the new one, which to import, you would just go ahead and select File, Import TCM, and then you can just go ahead and bring it in here, and then you would just go ahead and program it as you normally would. You will be able to accelerate with just the normal accelerate option. You don't have to accelerate with the erase option, so you don't lose any of your custom programming. But just know that any incompatible two-way modules, you will have an alert once you select download, letting you know which ones you need to swap out. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple different things. Actually, one more thing I want to show you, because this is another way that you can go ahead and get the file. So let's say you go to a customer's house that you did not program. They want to upgrade to 2.0. They have 1.0 currently. Use the get from remote option. You'll be able to search the network for an MRX base station, and you'll be able to extract the total control file from that base station and into the computer. From there, you will follow the same exact steps as I have explained. You will save it as a TC2 file, and that's it. You can download, and it will be a Total Control 2.0 file. Upgrading is extremely easy, and it is extremely quick. Now, let me go ahead and show you just the final few things, which is located on the dealer portal. And then I want to just show you where you can go ahead and check for compatible two-way modules. And then we will go ahead and address all unanswered questions. So we go to portal, urcportal.com. We're going to log in. If you don't have an account, just go to urcportal.com and select register for portal, or you can go ahead and speak to your sales rep. We're going to select sign in because I do have an account here. If you want the software, you just scroll down from the home page and you go to TC 2.0 software. You do need to be I believe a direct dealer of ours in order to have this. And you can go ahead and see the software download, upgrade tips, features, and other types of documentation. So you can go ahead and have access to all of this with a URC dealer portal account. Now, if you select training and you go to training home, this is where all the good stuff is. If you go to self-paced tutorial, starting on page 3, you will be able to see the Total Control 2.0 e-learnings. You have e-learnings for new features, e-learnings with a guided UI tour, e-learnings for editing images for a personalized customer experience, programming in 2.0, and if you are going to sign up for a 2.0 hands-on training, you can see the prerequisite course as well. Additionally, under webinar, you can go ahead and see the future webinars that we have. And again, this is on urcportal.com. You can see that right now we are on this one, Total Control 2.0, upgrading to Total Control 2.0. But we have next week working with graphics. The week after that, configuring new features, and then we kind of cycle through these. Since this is a recent launch of our software, we're going to cycle through these 3 basic classics, at least these 3 basic classes for at least the first 2 or 3 months, and then we're going to go ahead and branch off and do more complex classes. The last place I want to show you before we go to the questions is just on the control room. If we log in here now, the control room, as I said, is going to eventually be completely migrated into the dealer portal. But until then, it does still have its uses. If we go to Total Control and we select two-way modules, I'm just going to show you any two-way module as an example because you'll be able to see this on any of the ones that you want. If you select on Bose and you scroll down and you go to, where is it? Actually, I don't think this one has been updated. No. Let me select a different one. Hang on. Let's go to, because I know we had this question in the last class, which was actually with this one, Lutron Radio Raw 2 and Homeworks. If we scroll down, we can go ahead and see that there was a module created on August 28th. Now, if you want to know if your specific two-way module has a module created for 2.0, simply scroll down to the update history. If on the update history you see this right here, updated to work with 2.0, that means that module works in 2.0. If you don't see that, that means our engineering team is still working to create that module for 2.0. So just kind of know that. For the most part, almost all of our modules have been upgraded for 2.0, with the exclusion of Sonos and a few random others that may not have received a new updated API for. But Sonos we have not created for because their API is changing in, I believe, in the next month or so. So if we created a module for that, it would only work for a little while. But once we get the new API for that, we will create a brand new module for TC 2.0. And that's really all I've got to show you. So now I'm going to go ahead and open up the questions box, and JR and myself will tackle on any unanswered questions. JR, any of the questions here that stood out the most?
No, just a lot of great ideas, a lot of recommendations that kind of came up. There was one, you mentioned a on-site requirement for upgrades. Barry had a question about that. I wasn't too sure on what it was referring to, so you might want to take that one.
Let me take a look. Is the on-site requirement for upgrades a temporary restriction, or if permanent, what is the rationale of the on-site requirement? I understand what Barry's trying to ask. He wants to know if he wants to know why we don't offer off-site upgrades, essentially. And the reason for that is just that the initial download for TC 2.0 is a very large file, and it can actually take up to 10 to 15 minutes for that first download, just because it is a large upgrade to all of the interfaces, and it does take quite some time. To do that over an off-site connection, it's just not ideal. So for that initial upgrade, that is why we require you to go on-site to do it. And then I see we have a couple other questions here. Now, Adam, you are asking a programming question in terms of how to, okay, you got it. I think I did show it, but if not, you found it, so that is good. How do you do the upgrade from a 10N to a, you're gonna have to contact your, so the question here is, how do you upgrade for client MRX10 to MRX10N? There are programs to replace the 10 with a 10N. It's not a software upgrade, it's a hardware upgrade. Just contact your sales rep and they'll be able to walk you through whatever process it is. I do believe if you have an MRX10, you can essentially trade it in for a discounted MRX, a brand new MRX10N. But I don't know exactly the specifics on that. I see there's another question here. I believe at CEDIA, I was told that remote access programming is going to be as convenient as MX Home Pro. Is this true? Justin, I would ask who told you that? And in terms of remote access and programming, after the initial, after you've completed the initial upgrade, it will be as easy as offsite control and offsite programming currently in 1.0. As far as I know, it's going to be using the upgraded server, so it's going to be through the same process. You're still going to need to register for offsite programming or offsite control. If you already had previous access to it, you'll be fine. And as we said in the beginning of the,
there's not going to be any online cloud-based programming software in the plan.
Right.
That's a question.
And yes, the DNS and everything that was required for the 1.0 offsite is still going to be true. At least that's what's been explained to us. And I see Fernando, sorry I came in late. Can I import old jobs into 2.0? Absolutely, yes, you can. We did go over all of that already, but this class was recorded. Correct, JR?
Yes, sir.
So you'll be able to see this on our YouTube channel, and you'll be absolutely able to watch that at your leisure. And looks like we've got all the questions. Brian, thank you for the feedback. We're glad you enjoyed the class. So we've got 2 minutes till the top of the hour, so you guys can go ahead and continue making a couple questions. In the example, you converted an MRX10 to an MRX8. Can I download? No, I just did that so that I don't actually have an MRX8 here. I just did that just so that I could show you guys the actual file. You can't convert a file to an MRX8 and download to an MRX10. The software is going to know, hey, this isn't an MRX10. What's going to happen is once you discover, the software is going to be looking for an MRX8. I just did that so that I can continue showing you what I needed to show you guys. That wasn't a workaround or anything like that. That was just, I guess, a workaround for me to show you guys this class, not an actual functioning workaround. But if you guys have more questions, you can go ahead and drop them in. Otherwise, you can go ahead and submit any and all questions to training@universalremote.com. That'll submit your question to the entire training team, including JR and myself, and the entire team works together to answer any and all questions. Thanks again for joining. I'm going to be closing out the webinar box in a few minutes. Actually, it's already 1 o'clock, so I'll be closing it out in about a minute or two, just because this is a shared GoToWebinar account. Again, thank you for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed the class. This video will be has been recorded and will be posted on YouTube by the end of the day, or at least by Monday. So if you guys want to see this again later, you are more than welcome to do so. It'll be available on our YouTube channel. Everyone have a great weekend. Thank you for your continued support and interest in URC, and happy programming.
Thank you, everyone.